Hey there, Grand Fam. Want to just pop in quick, do a quick analysis breakdown of what pairs may be ready for trading in the upcoming week tomorrow. And I do suggest, doing this on over the weekend so that you can already have identified the pairs that you're looking at, what that pair is doing, what it needs to do before you enter. And if you already have that roadmap laid out, before the market opens, you're coming into the market with authority, right? You're coming into the market with clarity and you have what? A game plan. That's the key. The game plan. And then we got to stick to it, right? Then we got to stick to it. So I want to go through these pairs and just give you my take, my outlook, what I'm looking at, and all that kind of good stuff. And we can get ready. So USD JPY, our we're in the zone, right? Obviously, we're in the supply zone, so we're looking for sales coming out of here. Now, right now, of course, we have a pullback. I did want to point this out. Every single time that we go to the chart, every single time we go to the chart, you want to ask yourself these three questions. Where am I? Meaning, where is price? What is it doing right now? How did I get here? How did price get here? And the third question is, where do I go from here? Those three questions are going to lead you down the right path of analyzing price. And that's what we have to do. I know we have these wonderful, indicators and all of that, but nothing beats price action, right? Nothing, because that's the deal. That's the market price. So we have to read price. Okay, so in this case, it's consolidating because on Fridays, every pair pretty much consolidates on Friday and for the end of the, closing of the week. So what you want to ask yourself though, how did it get here? What took place prior to that? So we're looking at this move right here. Okay, this move right here is obviously a bullish move up, right? Now, this would be considered a pullback, obviously, because we're in a downtrend. That's where we're going. So this would be a pullback, right, from the downtrend. Now, then after you just kind of get used to drawing out your trend line so that you can see clearly what price is doing. Now, what price did was it did break this trend line. A little of the body did, and it closed, but this candle right here clearly is outside of the trend line, right? And so and then it consolidated, right? It just closed for the week. Now, what this is telling me is when I look back, so let me go through the question. So that's how we got here. So we had a pullback and we had a break of the trend line, a bearish breakdown, right? And then it consolidated. So that's how we got here. Now, that's where we are. Now, how did we get here? I just explained that to you, right? Where do we go from here? Now, where do we go from here? Basically, how are we going to get in this trade? What do we need to do to get in this trade? So what you want to do is you want to look left and see what price was doing prior to all of this. Now, we had this pullback, we had a break, and then it closed out for the week. But from the pullback, from this pullback, what I'm looking at is we had a impulsive move. We had an impulsive move, right? The trend was identified where price wanted to go. And the first move down, we had an impulsive move. So this is kind of in the way, but so my trend line is going to be a little off. Here's that, right? So this was our impulse. This was our impulse, right? And then this was the correction, okay? Now, what comes after a correction? A continuation. And a continuation and the impulse is always the same move. It's always the same direction. So what we're looking for at this point, where do we go from here? What we're looking for is a continuation. That's what we're looking for. Now, how do we know when it's in a continuation? Well, what we're going to be looking for is a break of because I don't know if you can see it, but it's sitting right on support right here, right on support. But the 50 is kind of covering it, but it's sitting on support, and is sitting basically on top of the 50. We wanted to break this support, and we also wanted to break and close the 50, right? We wanted to break and close the 50. And most often, you'll see a engulfing candle as well, most often. Now, it may not be at the beginning of the continuation. It may be somewhere in the middle of it, but most often a engulfing candle is a very strong indication that is going down, right? A bearish one because we are selling, bearish engulfing candle. But for the most part, we wanted to break and close. We wanted to break and close. And that's what we would be waiting on to get into this position, right? That's what we'd be waiting on. Where can we take the trade? Where can we take it? Well, we can definitely take it to this point because this was the most recent low that price went to before what? Before it pulled back. So we can expect that price is going to come back at least to this area. Will it break it? I don't know. We trade what we see. And the only thing that we see is that this was the most recent low. So I'm going to take my TP to the most recent low. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, of course, we can trail so that we can capitalize on, the bigger pips. But we always want to protect the pips that we have obtained. And we strive for at least 20 pips. So that is my take. We're waiting for a break and close on the 50 of a bearish candle. That's what we're waiting on. I do expect for this to pull back up, though. I do. It's still above the 50, right? Our trend surfer is giving us some positive vibes, though, right? Giving us the bearish on high and lower time frame, right? So that's good. But let me put my fib on here. So we can see, because that might be the 23. Where are we? Right, so up in here. Yeah, so that will be above the 23. Now, here's the other thing about some Fibonacci characteristics. When price breaks the 23 on the fib and close, it tends to continue in that momentum. And price basically moves from one fib level to the next. That's what it basically does. Now, when we're looking at our previous, low or previous high to determine, our TPs, if it's below, in this case, we are above the 23. And that's the reason why we haven't really gotten into the momentum yet. Now, so we're above the 23 on the fib. We're above the 50 on the moving average, right? So we're still in buyer's territory. However, the bullish momentum is not strong. So it's anybody's party at this point. What we're looking for is for the bearish move to take place, and it's in line to do that. But of course, price is king, so price can go right back up, and if it does, it's definitely going to go back to this point. Because why? It was the most recent high. It was the most recent high. Now, could it continue? Absolutely. But we're not concerned about that. Because one, we won't even be in a trade if it does that first. We won't be in a trade anyway, right? So we don't care. But we trade what we see. That's the key. We trade what we see. We don't make any assumptions or none of that kind of stuff. So I'm expecting it to go back up to this point and then, break out and head back down. Now, in this case, it went down to the 50. It went down to the 50, and that's good. That's good. So if it breaks the 50 on a moving average, it breaks and close below our 23, we can take this trade at least to the 50. Okay? At least to the 50. And then you can trail the rest, but lock in your trades, right? Lock in your positions. So that is USD JPY. So let's look at Euro USD. Okay, let me take the lines off so we can have some clarity. Okay, so on Euro USD, now remember, this is a negative correlation to USD JPY. So if UJ is selling Euro USD is buying. Okay, so that's what's happening. It's in a demand zone, which is the buyer zone. We're looking for buys to come out, right? Buyers are accumulating in this area. So we're looking for buyers' momentum to come out. So what are we looking for to get in the trade, right? We, of course, we're looking for the break and close, and we're sitting right on these resistance dots right here. That's where we're sitting. So right off the bat, we know that we need for it to break and close above that. We need it for it to break and close above these resistance dots right here before I would take the trade. That's what I would want to happen. And of course, our trend surfer is giving us thumbs up on both as well, right? On our MACD, our blue line is above our red, meaning buyer strength, and it is in a pointing upward, right? I'm not necessarily looking for the cross here. I'm more so looking for the moving average, who's more in control. And in this case, the buyers are, which supports this move. We also got the entry arrow that came in, the entry arrow that came in. And again, with that, we wanted to close above the 50 and we wanted to be bullish. But because it's basically closed right under these support dots, these resistance dots, I wanted to break that. Once it breaks that, always reassess though, always reassess. But once it breaks that, I'll be looking to do a little something, something. And here's the thing too, just kind of look in the past a little bit. This area right here coincides with this zone and this zone. So when price breaks above here, it would have broken above this zone and this zone. So we would have cleared some resistance areas that took place in the past, right? So that's what we're looking for. And then how far can you take this? Well, from the first onset, I'm looking at this area right here. That's about 17 pips. But if you want to run it into your supply zone, which you absolutely can, then what you want to do is look how far you want to go inside. And all the answers are to the left of the chart. So what happened in the past? We went inside in the past. We went inside in the past, right? And we have a resistance dot right here. We have a resistance dots right here. So what we do know is that price went to this area and price will likely go to that area again. Now, you don't have to take it all the way in if you don't want to. It's up to you, but just understand what the support and resistance dots indicate, and you can make your decision from there. You can make your decision from there. Also, another thing that you can do is you can run it, right? Because you got your entry arrow came in, so you can run it until when? Until your triples on the simplicity populate. When the triples on the simplicity populate, then you can put in your trailing stop, lock in whatever those pips are, and then trail the rest. And at that point, you're just going to trail it. And while you're trailing it, though, make sure that you are still taking pips off the top. So it could be 20 pips, 10 pips, whatever you feel, just keep taking it off the top so that you can be building, right? Compounding and building your pip count as you go along. Okay, so that's what we're waiting on Euro USD. Okay, that's what we're waiting on Euro USD. GBP JPY, of course, let me just say this while it's on my mind. We want to definitely look at the news, right? Make sure that you're avoiding those red folders during the time that is happening. I did take a look at FX Street calendar, and we don't really have a lot of red folder news coming into next week. So I'll check it again just in case something pops up. But anything scheduled from what I saw, I didn't see a lot. All right, so we are in the demand zone. What are we looking for? We're looking for buys. We're looking for this to rally up, right? We're looking for a break and close above the structure. I like for my entry arrow to populate as well. Okay, so that's what we're looking for GU. Okay, so we have on the lower time frame we have bullish, and the higher time frame we have bearish. We have bearish on the higher time frame. So what we want to do is wait for it to close and break and close, and I will be waiting for my entry. Now, let me explain a little something about the higher time frame and why I don't really put a lot of emphasis on it. Some may feel like that's not cool, but the reason I don't put a lot of emphasis on it is because whatever's going on the 1 hour is just a reflection of what's going on the 4 hour. I can pretty much determine what's happening on the 4 hour by what's going on the 1 hour, right? So right now we're in a we got a bearish, so this is a pullback candle, right? Because we got the big arrow going on. Ultimately, it's still in a downtrend, right? Because why? We don't have our triples, and it has not broken out of this demand zone and closed. So ultimately, we are still in a downtrend. Right now, we're in a pullback, right? We're in a pullback. So if I go to my 4 hour, I should see a wick, right? I should see a wick, and there we go. So we're bullish here as well, right? And I don't know if it's going to cross over because I've been noticing like when I put my lines on, I've dropped back down, it's not there. But this 4 hour candle, we have buying and selling activity going on in the candle, right? That's what we have. So on the hour, we can see a little bit more inside of that candle right here on the 4 hour. We can see a little bit more when we do what? When we drop down to the hour. So it's bearish on the hour. It's going to be bearish on the 1 hour. Okay? It's bearish on the 1 hour. I wanted to just pull out. I wanted to close above, and then you can look. Then you can look because it's clear that we're still in an overall downtrend. Okay? So what am I looking for to get into this trade? I'm looking for a break first and foremost. I'm looking for a break. I'm looking for a a bullish candle to break above and close from this zone. I'm looking for my entry arrow to populate as well. And when my entry arrow populates and I have my break and close above, bullish break and close above, then I'm looking to get in, and then I'll be looking to see how far I want to take it. Now, what you can do again, when the triples come, lock in and trail, or if you want to just identify, get in and get out, use your support dots that you see on the left. You have some options here. So right in this area here, if you want to take it all the way up, you can certainly do that, and I will get out right before these resistance dots, somewhere around in this area. Why? Because price came here, so price is likely to come there again. Okay, we just don't know when. So when you're riding it, just make sure that you govern yourself according to the 20 pip strategy spreadsheet and the lot size there. Just govern your lots. Don't over leverage your account, and you should be fine holding out until it reaches this point. But you have some points in this area, TP points in this area that you can concentrate on as well. So you got this area here, and that. Okay. Break, close, and my entry arrow to populate. Okay, that's GU. NZD, USD, same thing. So as you can see, it's really the same thing. We came from a bearish, right? And we're down to the demand zone, right? This is still bearish. So just because it's in the demand zone, that doesn't mean a big arrow is going to be there. It just pulled back to that point. But nevertheless, it's in a demand zone, so we know that it's going to come out bullish, basically, right? You're looking for a bullish move. So it did come out, a little break and close here, but right here, clear, definite break of the zone, break of the 50, right? And then what did it do? It pulled back and it retested this area. So at this point, I would want it to pull back up, break my 50, right? And I want some confluence here as well. So just know that we don't have a big arrow. So this is a pullback. This bullish move is a pullback. This bearish move right here before the market closed was a continuation. So it can continue, right? It can continue. We got to wait and we have to see. But before you take the trade, you definitely wanted to break this 50. And what you want to be looking for is a bearish entry arrow, a bearish entry arrow for it to take that back up. Now, if you don't get that and it continues to pull down, it's quite possible that a big arrow will populate, signifying that we now want to go in the opposite direction. And then you'll use the same confirmations as that I just went over. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So right now, this is a impulse move, right? I did say pullback, but it's an impulse move, bearish, going down. We pulled up a little bit, right? Consolidated, and we dropped again in a continuation, and then we bounced right back up. So it may not be ready for a bullish big arrow. You may just want to play around in this area. But if you want to take this trade, you definitely want it to pull back up, and just know that it's a pullback that you're trading, which means that it's not going to be, or you should not be in the trade long. You should not be in the trade long. Now, this is another thing that I like about the triple arrows and simplicity. Each time frame tell you what's happening at that time frame. So if you base, your decision based on what's going on in front of you, you really can't lose, right? You really can't lose. There's nothing wrong with checking a higher time frame. There's nothing wrong with that. But what price is doing on this hour and the indications that we see on the hour is what's going to happen. We never know when things are going to happen. We can only identify areas where we know price will eventually get to, i.e. the support and the demand and supply zones. We know price is going to get back into this area. We know that. We just don't know when. So we are able to identify that this is a bearish trend. So if we are going to be buying, if we're looking for a buy because we're in the zone, then we need to understand that it's going to be a short run. That's what we need to understand, okay? The other option, of course, is you can trade with the trend and with the trend only, okay? In that case, will you be looking for sales? I wouldn't. Why? Because I'm too close to the demand zone. I'm too close to the demand zone. So what happens is as you get closer to the demand zone, your candles start to get smaller because the pressure is diminished. Because why? Because buyers are going to start coming in. Just follow it and back test it for yourself as well. So you got candles, nice little wicks. You got some candles coming down. As we getting closer to the zone, notice the candles. They're getting shorter, right? And notice the bullish candles are getting longer, right? So you might have some back and forth because it's a fight, bulls against bears, right? But the closer you get to the zone, you'll start to see more of that, more strength in that candle. And in this case, it's bullish. So look at, you got small, right? And the bears are fighting to maintain position, but the closer you get, and now you're in the zone, yeah, you got baby bearish candles now, and you have bigger bullish candles. You got dojis right here, right? So what's happening? Price is moving up. What do you see? You see more bullish candles because this is where buyers come in. This is where the strength of buyers happen. So when buyers are strong, bears are weak. That's what happens, right? And it's the opposite for the supply zone. Okay, and we just bob and weave. So anyway, that's what we'd be looking on NZD, USD. Alrighty, so these are positions here. I like the beginning of the positions. Right? We don't want to trade it in the middle. We want the beginning of the positions. That's the best positions to take. Now, if you're in the middle, you can, and it pulls back and give you another good entry. Voila, perfect. I love that setup, right? We'll take it. But other than that, we want to definitely, like these here, this is good. This is a good position. What is it doing? Okay, so we're looking for sales coming out of the supply zone. It broke, it closed, it retested this support area right here. Well, why did these dots populate? That's what you want to be asking yourself. Why did it populate? Why? Because we have consolidation right here, right? Price struggled in this area. It was indecisive in this area. That's why these dots populated. Well, price broke out over here. It closed, right? And it broke past this area, these dots here. And then what? It pulled back up and it retested these dots here, right? And then what? Now we got our bullish. We got our bullish. So what are we waiting on to get into this trade? We're waiting for it to break. We're waiting for the break. Break of the 50, I like for my 50 on the moving average, and I like for my entry arrow to populate, and then I can look at taking the trade. You always want to assess, though. You want to reassess each time. Make sure everything else is lined up. Okay, so USD and CAD and UJ, they're selling. They're selling. Okay, primary. Let's see what our USD is doing. Our USD is selling as well. Overall trend is bearish. However, it's in the demand zone. So we're expecting it to pull out. If we don't get a big arrow, just know that you're trading what? You're trading a pullback. So just govern yourself. Just know that you're trading a pullback. And the run on a pullback is typically not as aggressive as the run on an impulsive move in the direction of the trend. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I like Aussie. I like the way it moves. Typically for Aussie, when it breaks the 50, it tends to stay there for a while, right? It tends to stay there for a while when it breaks. So back test that. You'll definitely see that that consistency with Aussie USD. All right, so this is my last one, and then we're going to shut it down. That's 30 minutes, and we are bullish, right? We are bullish. Came up, right? Reached that point. Now we're in the zone. Came in the zone, right? Came in the zone, and then what? Dropped out, dropped out, dropped out. It came down into our demand zone. What are we expecting? Well, what we see here, it came out, break, close, and it just rallies from there. Now, is it a good opportunity to get in? No, it's not. No, it's not. We missed the move, right? We missed the move. So what we want to wait for in this case is for it to get back into the supply zone. Now, if it gets into the supply zone, we're waiting for it to break out. It may populate a big arrow, a bearish big arrow, and pull back down. It may not, but if it gets into this zone, we know it's going to be a move downward. Now, if we don't have the big arrow, then we know we're pretty much in a pullback. So govern yourself accordingly where that is concerned as well. I had another thought that just slipped my mind too. Okay, it slipped my mind. It was something I wanted to say about that. Oh, the levels, like levels and how price moves. So we know that price impulses, it just basically moves the levels. It goes up, right? In this case, it went up. We had some short pullbacks in there, but this was a pretty strong impulsive move for the most part. And then it's going to pull back. It's going to pull back. Now, here's a key nugget. Keep this in mind. Whenever you have a strong impulsive move, price always gives you at least 50% of it back. At least 50% of it back. That does include wicks too now. That's not 50% at a close. It includes the wicks as well. So if you have small pullbacks here, you have small pullbacks here, small pullbacks here, small pullbacks here. Overall, you have a nice strong impulsive move going up, right? Going up. And let me straighten this out because I want it to be right there, right? And then, so that is from this point to this point right here is 173 pips, right? 173 pips. So 173 pips, let's do the math, right? And it's not exact, but it's roughly, right? So 173 pips, right? Half of that is 86 pips, half of that, roughly, right? So price came, it started here, is where it came up here and pulled down to what? That width, 70 pips, 70 pips. It gave that back to you, okay? So that's roughly around about what I'm saying. So about 50% most of the time, but if not 50, it's close to it. It's going to give that back to you. Notice whenever you have a strong candle, for news or what have you, when the opposite candle happens, it tends to give you at least half of it back or close to it. So check that out. With this being a pretty strong impulsive move, it gave you close to half of it back. Okay, so that's a little tidbit to kind of give you an idea of how far price is going to go down and what is near in and around those areas. Always be looking for your support and resistance dots because they tell a story. And look, support dots right here, and price came right there. It broke it, but not by much, right? So even if you said, you know what, we got a bearish engulfing candle going, right? It broke my trend line, right? And I see my resistance right here or support. You know you can take it to this level. You know you can take it to this level. We don't know if it's going to break it or not. We're not concerned. We trade what we see. We see these dots. You know you can take it to that level. It's that simple, right? Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up. That was a combination of the outlook and just some education as well. Those little things to look for and little tidbits to know about the market that helps us in our trading decisions. So I'll see you all in the gram coming up this trading week. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.